Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom.
And also Boca Shalom. Boca Shalom.
Boca Shalom.
Once again, we're coming again to reach our people on social media's Facebook, on live stream today. Just as we did yesterday when we presented, as well as we introduced the testimony, the gospel that was promised to be preached in all the world, according to Matthew chapter 24 and verse 14. This is that gospel of the kingdom. It didn't say which kingdom. It said, this gospel of the kingdom. Many were led to believe that that was the kingdom of Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. That's because they do not study. And just to set the record straight, before we get started, if you're going to join us today, even if you're watching this on video, as we promised to record what was posted yesterday from the kingdom, which is the most powerful knowledge of peace in existence, in the form of a written testimony that was posted on Facebook, as we promised to go verbally and help those who do not know how to read or maybe not able to pronounce some of the words, and we will assist them with that testimony. So again, as I said before we just started, grab your King James Version Holy Bible. Grab all your study tools as we assist you in studying. But we're not going to study for you. We're just going to assist you with your studying. That means you are to study to show thyself approved. We're not going to approve it for you. You show thyself approved, according to 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 15. So grab your study tools. And we're going to go more than 10 steps. Some are frozen at 10 steps. At 10 steps, you will not be able to reach the 12 tribes. I'm here today to reach all 12 tribes. So I am taking 2 more steps to reach all 12 tribes of the children of Israel, my father, my aunt. With your study tools, you should also have a dictionary, your Strong's Concordance, James Strong's Concordance of the King James Version Holy Bible, of the Thayer's Lexicon, the Old Testament and New Testaments, the Greek and Hebrew lexicon, a couple of dictionaries, unabridged, of course, if you have that. And most importantly, as I always say, grab something to write with, and something to write on paper, something to take notes. Take notes and go over these facts, go over this truth that you have never heard before. This is the gospel of the kingdom that was promised that you've never heard before. And I posted 12 chapters yesterday on my timeline. But I did not post everything on my timeline. I'm going to go over some that I did not post in just part 1 of that testimony. But let's just set the record straight and show the mystery of this gospel, that it did not say, my soul did not say what gospel it will be. So someone go to Matthew, and for those who do not have a Bible, we have an angel that's going to assist those on the screen in back of me. If you look at the monitor in back of me, and also, as always, over my left shoulder to the right of the screen is who is responsible for me being here today. That's a photo image, one of several photo images of mine, Ab. Aleph Beth is father in Hebrew. That's father in Hebrew. Aleph Beth.
Okay.
He's A and I'm B.
Okay.
That means I am B.A. He is Aleph Beth, and I'm Ba. Beth Aleph.
Okay.
And when you put us together, then you have Abba. You have Abba. Again, he's Ab, but his father in Hebrew, Aleph Beth. That's the number one reference in strong concordance. Number 1, Alabeth, Ah.
Okay.
He's the Father. And again, that's one of his photo images that you see over my right shoulder over my left shoulder to the right of the screen. And many are still calling him today Yahweh ben Yahweh. Well, they got that right because that is Ab and the Son. That's Abba. Yahweh, comma, the Son of Yahweh, comma. Actually, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, comma, Beth Nusuf Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, period.
Okay.
That's Yahweh, the Son of Yahweh in English. You got it?
Okay.
And I never told anyone that I'm the son of Yahweh. I am not the son of Yahweh. I did not say that. I'm not from England. And neither did I say, others told me that they were confused because both of us were here over 2,021 years ago, just as we were here today together on the same planet, in the same city, over 2,021 years ago. We're here again today, over 2,020 years later. He's still here. But they said, I asked, who do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? I said, Son of Man. They said, some say that thou art John the Baptist, some Elijah, or Jeremiah, one of the prophets. So I said, well, who do ye say that I am? And it was them, those souls said that you are the Christ, the Son of the true and living God. Well, you can be the judge for yourself after you hear this part 1 testimony,
Okay.
1 of 12. Praise Yahweh.
Praise Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh.
So let's prove that, although some have commented on our post yesterday, one in particular that I'm really not paying attention to, but for the sake of those who read it, he's the same soul. He's one of several souls, the same ones that we had before. Said something like, and I'm not reading it, but I remember it said something like that, you cannot be the son of Yahweh. You don't fit the profile, or something like that. Though the question would be, what would be the profile?
Right.
How would he know? What is the profile? What is the Son of Yahweh supposed to look like? It's in the Bible. You know, just read it. Same Bible. By now they should have the Bible. But I will say this. I have witnesses here, though the Son of Yahweh, the Son of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, according to prophecy and record, is first of all supposed to come out of a womb of a Hebrew woman. And he would also come out of the womb that today will be recognized as the 15th day of the 7th month of the solar calendar. They call that today, that's the first day of the 15th day of the 7th month of the Hebrew calendar, and today that is known in our Hebrew law as the Feast of Tabernacles, the first day. That means that he will become the tabernacle of the planet, of the children of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, of Israel. He will become the tabernacle. And as he grows, as he's being raised by his father, his Ab, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, even in body height, he will stand at 4 cubits in body height, 4 cubits in height. 1 cubit is 18 inches. Times 4 is 72 inches, also known as 6 feet in height.
Okay.
That was published, recorded, and sealed in the book called Revelation in chapter 21 and verse 17, which was the height, which is the measure of an angel.
Okay.
The last part, 40 and 4 cubits. That 40 is Mem, and the 4 cubits is the height. That means he will come back bearing the name, begin with Mem.
Okay.
Mem. Not Yod, which is J now today as Jesus or Joshua, but Mem. You got that?
Yeah.
He would also be raised by the Father. That means he would be in the same city, be raised by the Father in the same temple, from the beginning, in the beginning, and he would be guided by the Father only, and not himself. We're going to probably read that. Not only that, his skin would be brass, like fine brass. It would be a bronze color. It would be a bronze color. You got it? See, a bronze color. And he would drink from the bronze color. Like brass. Same complexion.
Okay.
Same complexion. Same complexion. And not only that, when that body that was snatched from an embryo that was already inside of a womb, that would enable his father to put a couple of birthmarks on that body. Now, I have witnesses here who saw both birthmarks. The first birthmark would be on the left, by the left knee, that would be in the shape of a spike that would go straight through the leg, which was the same performance that they did when they hung his body on a tree, and then they put a spike through the left leg, through his left leg, onto the tree so that it don't move and come down. And I just so happen to have a birthmark on my left knee. Below my left knee, they go straight through. One birthmark on one side, the birthmark on the other side of me, as if something went straight through that body over 2,021 years ago. I have witnesses who saw it. If you'd like to see it, come to Miami, and I will show you too. I also have a birthmark under my right nipple that witnesses also saw and see here in Miami, Florida. And this birthmark that my father put on under my right nipple is in the shape of a spear's tip, which indicates that that body, over 2,000 years ago, was pierced with a spear's tip that poked that body to make sure it was still, that it was dead and not alive. And then blood came gushing out, just as they show the pictures of this false white boy on a cross with a spear's wound under his right nipple and blood protruding from the wound. I did not share that with anyone and with the world today who's watching this live stream or watching the recording. I did not share that to convince you, but I shared that to rinse you out of the minds of those who want to be clean of the dirt that you're trying to put into their minds to follow you as a hypocrite and a thug. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
So go ahead and join those others out there who don't believe. I'm not here to make you believe or ask you to believe. But those who do not believe, you will also be relieved very soon of this planet.
Okay.
Forever. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
So someone read now Matthew chapter 24 and verse 14 so we can share with them what gospel this is that was promised to be preached. How? Preached. World Wide Web, the whole wide world. www. Live stream, Facebook. Facebook. Seek my face and read my book. Read that, please.
Matthew chapter 24 verse 14, quote, "And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations,
And what happens then?
and then shall the end come."
So what kingdom did it say? What was the kingdom? You just said this kingdom of what? The kingdom of who?
Didn't say.
Didn't say. The one who was speaking back then, that soul, that Hebrew celestial soul that was speaking back then and recorded that in that book, is the one whose gospel of the kingdom he was speaking of. His gospel. That's why he said, in this gospel of the kingdom. If he was referring to the gospel in general of the Celestial Lodge, he would have said, this gospel of the kingdom of Yoded Wave. He did not say that. That's not what I said. But today you know. This is that gospel. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
And now, as promised, you should have by now your Bible in front of you. If you don't have a King James Version, we have discovered throughout the years that a Gideon version is just a replica of it. Gideon's a replica. The same, Gideon, as in the cousin of the one biological that was here with us back in the beginning, 1979, when Moses Israel first came to Miami, Florida in 1979, and so was Gideon. supposed to be biological first cousins. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
So grab a Gideon version or grab a Jacob's Bible. Jacob, that's Jacob or Jacob. Today they have you believing his name was James. The first Jacob, the first Jacob of the nation of England, United Kingdom, the first king of Jacob in England. That's his name. This is part 1 or chapter 1 of, and here's the title of this testimony, 12 chapters. I quote, by, and that's B, capital B, lowercase I, the second beast of the, that's all closed in parentheses. In parentheses, closed in is the second beast of the. And on the outside of the parenthesis on the right is D-E-N, den. So on the left side you have B-I, by. In closed parentheses you have the second beast of the. And on the other side, the right side of the parenthesis, you have D-E-N, den. Without the parentheses, without the words inside the parentheses, you have by den. By den. You got it? Okay. O earth, the whole planet, this gospel, and all the world, attention. That's special to Yehuda, also known today as Judah. This is the land, and I quote, known as the United States of America, end quote, that was told in prophecy by Jacob, also known in English as Jacob, also known today as James. But the J, that's after the J was created in 1675. J was added to the English alphabet. The 17th century, that's 1675. There was no J before 1675 in the English's idiom. There was a Y. So what did they do? What they did was they took the 9th letter of the English's alphabet, that was a lowercase I, and they put a tail on it to represent Satan. That's how they created their God. They put an I there at the 9th position. They put a tail on the end of the I to mark Satan and his entry into this world for prophecy to be fulfilled. And after they put the tail on the end of the I, they then named their God, their Satan, Jesus and James. You got it? All right. That became their God. There was no J. There was also no V. They were both added during the same day. The same day, by the Council of Trent. The J and V were added. The two last alphabets to be added to the English's alphabets. Before they were added, there were only 24 alphabets. And now there are 26. Got it? All right. So that's James. But this is what was told to his 4th son, that they added the J and took out the Y. It's known as Judah in English, which is actually Yehuda, with Yod, Yehuda, that was present with his other 11 sons of Jacob, or where ye, Judah, who I'm speaking to now in America, United States, ye will be found today when Shiloh comes. Shiloh comes. And that is where you are, and that is where Shiloh found you when he came back. In fact, I'd like for you to take a quick look at where that is found, printed today in the King James Version Holy Bible, in a book it's called Genesis, but there is no J. So come out of that world, come out of her with that J. Is Genesis. Gimel begins with Gimel. A Gimel, not a G. Ain't no J. Gimel. E-N-E-S-I-S. You got it? All right, in chapter 49, beginning at verses 1 and 2, I'm going to read that. So turn your Bible, the book called Genesis, chapter 49, and verses 1 and 2, as I quote, and Jacob, which is Jacob, called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. In the last days. Can you imagine? This is over 3,000 years ago. 4,000 years ago. And for some miraculous reason, Yaakov was able to tell his sons what was going to happen to them, or befall them, actually, what was going to befall them in the last days. 4,000 years later. That's some kind of power, isn't it? That's verse 1. It didn't say that which shall happen to you. It said that shall befall you in the last days. That must mean that something's going to happen that's related to all of them in the fall of the last days. It's going to befall. It will befall in the last days. Verse 2 says, gather yourselves together and hear, ye sons of Yaakov. Now that's Yaakov twice. That's in verse 1 and verse 2. Ye sons of Yaakov, and hearken unto Israel your father. End quote. So we go from Yaakov twice, and then Israel once in verse 2. All right? Just for the record, today is the 24th day of the 6th month of our solar year, 6024. Safe to say that?
Safe.
The 24th day of the 6th month. Now, that's by our solar calendar, Yoni Wafhe's calendar. Today is also known by their Gregorian calendar as Tuesday, August the 31st, the last day of August of St. Augustus, the saint, the emperor of Rome at one time. The last day that he was to celebrate his birth. So he named that month Augustus, but throughout the years it became, since us is here now, since us is here, us, they removed the us off of the T, because now we're here with the truth. It became August. It's just August. You got it? All right. It's no longer called Augustus. It's now August. So this is the last day of August, the 31st, 2021. That 2021 represents how many years it has passed since they crucified the Christ 2021 years ago, whose body was hung on a tree with no such thing as nailed to a cross. That's a nail to the cross line. That means they got your minds all crossed up. Nowhere in the Bible, King James Version or any Bible, does it says that Jesus was nailed to the cross, his hands and his feet, nailed to the cross or to a cross. Doesn't say that. Show me, write me, show me, and I'll come and bow to you and I'll follow you as my God. Show me that. In my Bible, in the book called Acts chapter 5 verse 30, it says, whom ye slew and hanged on a tree. That means his body was, they thought it was dead, lifeless. They stoned it and thought it was dead, and then they hung it on a tree. As the law is in Leviticus. That's what you should do after you stone someone, to stone them to death and hang the body on a tree so all Israel can see what happens to lawbreakers according to the law of your warfare. Got that?
Got it.
All right, so that's 2021. With that said, these are the last days. That's why we had to get the time right. These are the last days. This part of the last days. Now we are approaching befall. Sons of Yaakov, we are approaching befall. It will befall after tomorrow is September 1. September. So you cannot go by fall according to that almanac because they're off. They're way off. Time's off. That's why I gave it to Daniel in chapter 7 verse 25. Be a time and times divide of time. Well, we divide that time to start right now to befall. So it would be compared and fall into shape and prophecy of the sons of Yaakov, all 12. So that means each and every one of the sons of Yaakov who had a name that has a meaning in that name, Hebrew name. And we're here now today to befall those names, the meanings of those names, and reveal what they mean and how they're connected to this gospel of the kingdom. And every son of Jacob, Yaakov, is to be vindicated for they were accused of committing. They were accused of committing something which they did not do, which were their sins. They think it were their sins. I don't see where they committed sins. I know that sins is the transgression of the law. But he that is born of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh cannot sin. That's a mystery. Only the children of the devil can sin. Now he's going in John, someplace like in chapter 4, someplace like that, in John, someplace 1 John. That's not our subject, but I'm just bringing to your attention that these are the last days, that every one of the sons of Jacob is to be vindicated for what they were accused of committing, that they did not do, which were sins. And that especially includes Judah. You got that?
Yeah.
They said Yehuda sinned. Not so. It's not so. Why? Well, because it was not their souls that were being accused and are being accused of sin, but rather it was the Hebrew character. The Hebrew character that was accused of sin. This is the sin. It was the Hebrew character, the alphabet itself, that's known as sin. Now you may want to know, well, how is that? Okay, well, because the false Jew bastards, no, that's what they are. They're bastards. They are born of different parents. Esau took hold of Israel's wife. And that's who they are. That's who they are over there now. Someone asked me, I believe, in a comment, could you please help me to explain who is Esau? Okay, well, I will. Esau are those over in the Middle East now who claim to be Israelis, but they are Israelites. They're Israelites. They lie. They call themselves Jews and are not, but they are the synagogue of Satan. And the reason why they are the children and descendants of Esau is because they feel that their land belongs to them in birthright. But that's a damn lie. Esau sold his birthright to Israel to save his life. So Israel, being heartful as he is, gave his dying twin brother some pottage. He ate it and lived. And he said, because I did, you have my birthright. You can have whatever our which was at the time Isaac. You can have whatever he was going to give to me, you can have it for saving my life. Knowing that he was a cunning hunter and liar, he still tried to deceive his twin, Jacob, a different nation, two totally different nations, and getting the birthright. But their mother, their aim, Rebecca, she heard the conspiracy, especially after her son, the dark-skinned one, came and told her, my twin just sold me his birthright. So when Abba dies, before he dies, he's to bless me and give me all the land, everything that was promised to him from my grandfather, Abraham. So I want it. So Mom said, good, okay. So what happened when Isaac's eyes got dim and he needed glasses? They were not created yet. As you see, it's on my eyes. Couldn't see. He can feel, smell, touch, talk. Couldn't see. Almost like blind. Right? Almost like blind. So she dressed him up. Rebecca dressed up the smooth black skin of Jacob to feel like the hairy garment of Esau. Come out red all over like a hairy garment. I'm in Genesis chapter 25. You can study it on your own. And 26, chapters 25 and 26 of Genesis. And we know the testimony when he said, come in, Esau, my son, go get me some venison and let me eat something before I bless you. And Yaakov went in and filmed you. You feel like Esau, but you smell like Yaakov. Full of cologne. You smell good. You smell like your mama, boy. But you feel like Esau. My favorite oldest son, the one who came out first out the womb. As Yaakov's heel, Yaakov's hand took hold on Esau's heel. And that's why he's behind today. He's just a footstool. So nevertheless, Israel, Yaakov got the blessing. And he got all that land that was promised to Isaac. And because of that, Esau hunted him. Esau was hunting him down. After he left the lands, Esau was following him to kill him. Esau wanted to murder him. And all of his companies came with him and find Yaakov as they escaped that land. They killed my twin brother. And then one night, I'm going to get to it in a minute, one night, when Yaakov was left all alone, I had to come and kind of calm him down. What you running for? You're safe. I got you. I got your back. Didn't believe it. I tried to tell him, I got his back. Don't worry. Don't fear nothing. But he kept going back and forth with me, back and forth, until we was in a wrestling match. He started wrestling with me. And said, that's what we go on for. That's what we're going to move on. Because those bastards over in the Middle East who say they are Jews, they lied. Oh, they lied. See, when that happened with Yaakov, and I changed his name, when we get to that, they took Shin from the east and committed sin of the west. I mean, those bastards place this sin. Yeah, they place this sin in the place of Shin. You follow? Okay. They place this sin in the place of Shin. Instead of Yisrael, they deemed it as Yisrael. Yisrael. Opposed to Yisrael. They got Israel instead of Israel. With Sheen. Instead of the original Sheen. And see that which is I, by such a soul and presence, that's what I gave to Yaakov after he wrestled with me. In other words, I am the one who changed Yaakov's Hebrew name to mine own celestial Hebrew name. That's known as Yisrael. Actually known as Yisra Yahweh. I named him Yisra Yahweh. That's my own Hebrew celestial name. That's why I say if my people which are called by my name, not their name. Their name is Yisrael or Israel. See, Yisra Yahweh, no one can come to that name. That's why they had a conspiracy that now read in Psalms chapter 83, verse 1 through 5. They had a conspiracy to cut Yisra Yahweh off from being a nation. Right. The name of Yisra Yahweh would be no more remembrance. But them bastards forgot that I was coming back to set the record straight. So what I did was I came back and I put the record straight back like it was. Yisra Yahweh is spelled from right to left. Yud Shin Resh Aleph Yod Het Wav He. Again, from right to left. Yud Shin Resh Aleph Yod Het Wav He. Yisra Yahweh. Yeah. Also known as Yisrael without the Yahweh. And not Israel. Israel. Now see, this truth is now read of the wrestling match in Genesis chapter 32. So turn to that, and we're going to begin at verse 24. Genesis chapter 32, verse 24. I'm helping those who may not know how to read, but I post it. Break it down for them. Because Esau wanted to kill his own twin. And that would have stopped the nation. That would have stopped that nation from being a nation, right? Okay. Okay? All right. Now, verse 24 says, and Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. A man. And when he, which is the man, saw that Jacob prevailed not against him, the man, that's who him is, he, the man, touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh, and that which is an allegory for his mind, which is a small mind, small. And the hollow of Jacob's thigh, his mind, his small mind, was out of joint. It was out of joint. And why was it out of joint? Because he didn't want to join me. See, joint. He didn't want to come a part of the joint of my Ab and myself. He wanted to be his own joint. He didn't want to join us. So it was out of joint. And today, some of the seeds and children of Jacob, the tribe of Yehuda, right now they're doing nothing but smoking joints. Well, that's all they do. Especially some cities where I just come from. Come in, you smell them, you hug them, they smell just like a joint. So now they're in their own joint. They call it marijuana, Mary Jane, Mary I wonder, marijuana. Some say reefer. Why do they say reefer? Because they want to refer to themselves. Refer themselves. You got it? Out of joint. And as Jacob wrestled with this man, he wrestled with him, the man. And he, the man, said, let me go. It's English. Let me go. M-E. Let me go. For the day breaketh. And he, which was Jacob, said, I will not let thee go. I didn't say let thee go. I said let me go. He turned around and said, I will not let thee go. Why? Because he knew nothing of me. He couldn't help but say thee because he knew nothing of me. So he said, let thee go. I will not let thee go except thou bless me. And that's not what he said. He said, thou bless Jacob. They put me there because they want you to think that me is Jacob, a dead Jacob. In verse 27, and he, which is the man, said to him, what is thy name? Not your name. What is thy name? And he said, Jacob, Hebrew, no Jacob, no J. And he, the man, said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, because you're hard-headed. I told you you're going to be all right. So since you are so hard-headed and you don't want to be all right like I said you would, and your mind is out of joint, your thigh is out of joint, I'm going to make you join me. I'm going to make you join us with no choice, because I'm going to change your name to become part of us, to join us. So your name will now be Yishra Yahweh, Yushi Rush Aleph Yod Wavhe. No Israel. Yishra Yahweh. Why? For as a prince had thou power with, see, God, lowercase G-O-D, and with men, the men who were following and chasing you, and your own men, and has prevailed, along with other angels. See, I mean, can you not see that the appellation that is read here as God, quote unquote, with a capital G, a capital Gimel, lowercase O-D, in this verse is not in all caps. Neither is it all cap O-L-O-R-D. Now you do know that, those who are with me know that, but do you, why you not know that in English translation from the original Hebrew scrolls, especially according to those 47 theologians and the 7 elders that helped them in Hebrew elders that helped them with those scrolls, that it was the son of Yod Wavhe whom the Hebrew elders knew that it was that was who with what Jacob at that wrestling match, that wrestled with him. Now they may be asking, well, how is that? Well, because of all the Hebrew elders, all of them knew, and they know today, that Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh is the ineffable name of the God of the Hebrews. They all knew that. But when they saw the scrolls, they did not see Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh's name there. That was wrestling with Jacob, or Jacob was wrestling with him. But what they did not see and do not know is the ineffable name of his son. They did not know that. So all they found was Elohim. And that reference is proven in a book called Proverbs in chapter 30, verse 4. They did not know, and no one knew their name before 1992 on this planet. You heard me?
Hey.
Let me repeat that. That's why my Ab told me when we last met face to face on Wednesday, September 15th, 1992, study your name, Mika, and see how your name is connected to my name. And then you will see how ye are connected to me. I repeat, no one on this planet knew the name of the son of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh before September of 1992. That's why it reads in verse 29 of Genesis chapter 32, I quote again, I continue, and Jacob asked him and said, tell me, I pray thee, thy name. Now, keep in mind another thing. Jacob already knew the name of his Ab's God, because his Ab, Yazek, told both of his sons and his wife the name of his God. How that? Because his Ab told him the name, which was Abraham. He told his son Isaac the name. He also told Ishmael the name. See, Ishmael, she is in the east. He told Ishmael the name of his God, but Ishmael could not accept that. So Ishmael and his 12 sons went on and created their own God. They began with Aleph. Today it's known as Allah. They could not handle the name of the God of the Hebrews. So that means Jacob knew the name of the God of his Ab and the God of his grandfather, Ab. Right? Okay. Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh. So how is it that in this verse he's asking someone, tell me, I pray thee, thy name? And he, the man, said, wherefore is it that thou dost ask after my name? Don't you know the name? Do you not know the name of your God? And he, the man, blessed him. I mean, you see, the mystery is Jacob knew that was not his God. This man was like God, but not God, because God would not have wrestled with him. Oh, God would have killed him. I'm telling you, you're going to be all right, and stop running from your brother, your twin. You're going to be all right, and you're going to argue with me? As if you don't believe me? You see, all Ab had to do was, next, find somebody else. Merciful. See, I'm merciful. That's why I said, well, I'm going to make you join us because your mind and your thighs out of joint. Right? So, I said, I blessed him, and I gave him the name You She Resh out of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, Yishra Yahweh. Because we were in the east. Right there in the east. And more proof that it was the son of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh and not Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh himself is read in the next verse. In verse 30, and that says, and I quote again, continuing, and Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, For I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. See? If it was my Ab, his life would not have been preserved. Ab don't play that. He would have. Next, get him out of there. Kill him. And can you not see this God also a capital G, Gimel, lowercase od? And even the Bible, it would tell you, in all parts of the Bible, no one has seen God at any time and lived. It's the New Testament. So it couldn't have been that God. It could not have been the mighty God, who also said he is the architect of the universe. He made that clear. The blessed Holy Potentate. Could not have been him, because he would, next, this fool argue with me, want to wrestle. Ab didn't do that here when he was here with us in the flesh before he ascended back in May of 2007. I bear witness. He did not play that when he was here. You argue with me? Well, see, those who were here with us back then, they knew who he was. Some did, and they knew not to argue with him, even as they only knew him as Moses Israel. I see all these men around you with these staffs. I see all these people in this building saying, praise Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahweh. You know, and I read the tabloids. I'm not going to argue with this man. I get up and leave the temple first so I can keep my head. You want to argue with Moses Israel? You want to argue with Yahshua our Messiah? You want to argue with Yahshua the Messiah? You want to argue with Yahweh the Messiah? You want to argue with Yahweh ben Yahweh? They go ahead and argue. This is not a good idea at all. Praise the Lord. See, that in itself proved and recorded and confirmed that he is the mighty God, according to Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
So that is, again, that is a lowercase od followed by the uppercase gimel, that Jacob saw my face to face. All right? Therefore, the sin became only a hieroglyphic, a Hebrew character that was preserved for the last days when Yehuda and Israel would be in the West Country. You got it? It became sin. See, right now is in the West. Sin. This is Shin in the East. Yishri Yahweh. This is sin in the West. Is Israel. The name may be no more remembrance. Well, guess what? I got some bad news for you. Someone remembered.
Okay.
You got it?
Okay.
All right. So, see, now, also take a look, because we're going to be looking at this again. I want you to notice that Shin, the dot is on the east. It's in the east. It's in the east. You see that? That's on the right side. You see, it's on the right side. Over Wab. See, these are three Wabs.
Okay.
You have Wab on the end, Wab on the other end, and Wab in the middle. That's inside the ship. You got it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's mothership, the spaceship. You got it?
Yeah.
That's Sheen in the east. Then Israel came over to the west. Oh, by the way, that dot is also a symbol of the ship. Around the wheel, the middle wheel, the mothership. And then all of a sudden, one tribe of Israel was taken to the west, Israel. So now you have the ship over here in the west, on the left side. See? On the left side. That's Shin and Sin. Okay? Now, why was that placed there? So that when I return, my celestial soul in another terrestrial body, I will also return as Shiloh. Shiloh. Not Silo. Shiloh. And that is empowered with Shin. Shiloh. You got it? Okay. Now, that originated, it was left in the east. Remember, she was left in the east. You can see it now, right? $100 on the right side. You saw it. Okay. But when my celestial soul returns in the last days, I have promised to declare unto Yeshua Yahweh, you she rush out of Yehovah, the bogus and erroneous name change that the devils committed in order to create their own false nation that is in our land today. And that false nation is known today as Israel, stolen by Esau. That's who they are, Esau. The nation of Esau, the other twin. Say, I'm gonna get my land back. I didn't sell my twin no birthright. That's a lie. He lied. That's our land. Because they know that Yaakov, Yeshua Yahweh, was blessed. Right? They were blessed. So he blessed. So they do all they can to become Israel. To steal them, to see the world and believe that they are the rightful heirs of Isaac, right? They're not. The proof of that is that in 1948, on May 14th, see, how could you be dependent on the queen if you are the rightful heirs? And although that land was invaded by the Romans in 70 AD and ran Yaakov out, then Esau came and took over. 70 AD. But how could you be the rightful heirs of the land, the heirs of the land, if you had to depend on the queen and follow the queen's law up to 1947? Actually, up to 1948, May. So in 1948, on May 14th, they became independent. It became a nation, the state of Israel, with a prime minister, opposed to a queen or king. They went up under a prime minister. And furthermore, it was also promised that when the Spirit of truth comes, he will also reprove the world of sin. Now turn to that, please. You're going to read that. That's in John chapter 16, Yohanan chapter 16, and we're going to begin at verse 7. Here's another promise we're going to break down. See, this is not included in what was posted. That's one of the blessings for tuning in live stream. Right? Okay, so right now you're going to go to chapter. Can you see, make sure that you have the above my head so that I can see it? Right? Okay, now I want you to read. You're going to have to read that, and you're going to see why you have to read it as a second person when we get to it. Beginning at verse 7. See, this is where you will hear the words that were spoken by Ma'al himself. That many are still calling today, I quote, Yahweh ben Yahweh in English. Or in Hebrew, Yod Hid Wav He. See, from right to left. Yod Hid Wav He. Beth Nun Sofi, Yod Hid Wav He. From right to left. Though not realizing that that is an appellation that refers to the Father, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, and the Son, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, the Ab, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, and the Ba, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, to create Abba. That's why I said, call no man Abba. Why? Because your Ab is in heaven and the Ba is on earth. Let thy will be done in heaven as it is in earth. In heaven is Ab. In earth is Ba. Not on earth or on heaven. It's in. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
Start at verse 7, please. Read it nice and loud so those who are with us can hear it.
John chapter 16, verse 7, quote, Nevertheless, I tell you the truth. It is expedient for you that I go away.
See? See why you had to read that? This is over 30 years ago. And he did. He went away. 2,000 some years later, 2,007 years later after that, on May 7, 2007, he went away. You got that? He even said it's expedient for you that I go away, not ye. For For you. Read that. Read the rest of it. For what?
For if I go not away, the Comforter would not come unto you. But if I depart, I will send him unto you.
Yeah, they couldn't even see that. The Comforter did not come on his own. The Comforter did not raise himself. The Comforter did not sit down at a computer, create a name, and say, I think I'm going to be him. And get me some followers. The Comforter does not have to get a t-shirt and print Yodewafe in a circle and walk around with it and then show a picture of Yodewafe when he was here and smile to want to be someone who he is not. The Comforter was raised by Yodewafe. In order for him to say, I will send him, that must mean he knew who he was. The Comforter is known by the one who said, I will send him. That means in order for the Comforter to be sent from Yodewafe, the Comforter would have to go to Yodewafe so he can send him, as he did on Wednesday, September 15th, 1992, from the Turner Guilford Night Correction Institute located in Miami, Florida, that he also called jail, Miami-Dade County Jail, as we last spoke face-to-face on that day. And at the end of that meeting, he said to Mika, go to my children that are now at the resort of Northeast 2nd Avenue and 62nd Street, Yahweh's Resort, right next to Yahweh's store that was on that corner at that time. And what did Mika do? He went. That was the sent. Go. He did not write Mika. He did not call Mika on the telephone. And neither did he mimeograph Mika to go. Neither did he send secondhand information from someone else to tell Mika to go. He told Mika to go face to face as we both cried on each other's shoulder as we departed, like two babies. Tears wetting up each other's shirt. I wet up his t-shirt, he wet up my coat jacket that I have on, one like this, but it was black pinstripe, blue pinstripes. The widow's son raised. Go, he said. Not only that, he sent me there in 1992. He also sent me for the Bahamas in 2007. I was in the Bahamas in 2007 in January, going back and forth from December 2006. But in January 2007, I came back to the United States permanently. That was January, not realizing that 120 days later, on January 7th, I came back. Not realizing that 120 days later, mine ark would be ascending back up into heaven on May 7th, 2007. He called for me, mental telepathy, he called me to come back. Not through secondhand information, mental telepathy, my mind. Come back and bring your family with you, and I did. I had no idea why he kept putting that vision in my mind. The years I was in the Bahamas, he kept putting a vision in my mind that I would be in a house that I knew I wasn't going to be in. It was my cousin's house. Why do you keep putting that in my mind? A house I grew up in as a child, going back and forth from house to house. Why he keep putting me in that house in a vision in the Bahamas? Not realizing that that's the house that we came back to when I came back in 2007. The same house. Anyway, I went to the Bahamas in 1999. Came back in 2007. You got that? Read on, please. Read verse 8.
Verse 8. And when he is come, he will reprove the world of sin.
Got that? No, you were reading it, and they've been reading it. They've been reading it since 1611. They've been reading it before 1611. William Tyndale, John Wycliffe, all the theologians of England were reading this and had no idea how could he reprove the whole world of sin. We're going to go out in the world and say, you sin. You too, you sin. Right? Netherlands, you sin. England, you sin. Poland, you sin. China, you sin. Brazil, you sin too. Africa, all 58 countries, you all sinned. The islands of the Caribbean, you sin. Jamaica, you sin. Trinidad, you sin. Puerto Rico, you sin. Mexico, you sin. You all sin. You sin. How is he going to reprove the world of sin? See, that's reprove. Reprove, not say you sin. He's going to reprove the world of sin. What sin? This sin. Why? Because you changed it from shin. You change Yishra Yahweh to Yisra Yahweh. You change Yishra Yahweh to Yisra Yahweh of sin, opposed to shin. And I'm going to reprove it. I already proved it once. Now I'm going to reprove it. Really? And what? And of what?
And of righteousness.
What's right? I'm going to reprove it of. I'm going to reprove it of sin, and show you what's right. Righteousness. Right?
Okay.
And I'm also going to I'm going to judge those who do not believe it. Right, read of judgment, right.
And of judgment.
Right. Got that? See, this is the part of Micah chapter 3 and verse 8. Of judgment that we go to next. But first we must finish this. Continue. Verse 9.
Of sin.
Why?
Because they believe not on me.
Right. See, of sin, because you believe not me, of shin, as I'm speaking to you. And of me. See, not a personal pronoun. This me is not a personal pronoun. This me is two Hebrew characters that create the sound me. And that would be Yod, Mem. Yod and Mem created me. It's spelled in English M-I-Y. Was pronounced me, M-I-Y. And you'll find that your Strong's Concordance on the Strong's H4310. Make a note. H4310 you're going to come across. When you get to that, H4310 going to give you on the right side, Mem. And right next to that to the left, Yod. And together you get me. So when that's read is of sin because they believe not on me. Right? Not a personal pronoun.
Okay.
Those two are, again, Mem, Yod. Whereby, see, common sense alone should have told all of them who have small minds that mine Ob, good gracious, you gotta shake your head. Mine Ob could not have been speaking of himself. Why? Because those of his children are followers of the nation of Yodewafe. They are his followers, and other nations are his followers, and Gentiles also are his followers, but they do not believe in me. They do not believe in me, Micah, Mem Yod. But they most certainly believe in Yodewafe, Yahweh. Right? So that couldn't have been speaking of himself. Even he also promised in verse 10 that I will also reprove the world of what? Read it, verse 10.
Of righteousness.
Of righteousness. Why?
Because I go to my Father.
Right. See, wait. They've been reading that for years, even some since 1979. Some before that. Printed in 1611, released in 1611 by Yaakov, the first king of England. He said, because I go to my Father. Really? I go to my Father. He said, whose Father? That's my Father. Again, I repeat, that's my Mem Yod. Mem Yod. Mem Yod. You got it? My Father. That's the English language. But that does not constitute the personal pronoun that refers to the person speaking the Hebrew language. Again, there are The same two, these are the same two characters. Hebrew. Mem. Mem on the right. Yod on the left. Yod. Together you get mine. You get me and mine. And those two Hebrew characters, again, are from right to left. So you have to use common sense. And when you do, then your common sense will allow your small thought, your common sense would allow your small thought to realize and know that my father in Hebrew, Yodewave, could not have been speaking of himself going to his father. Why? Because he is the father. So why would the father go return to the father? Especially if he told them fools, he's self-carnate. He's self-carnate, self-taught, self-raised. He did not give no father credit for raising him, teaching him, and creating him. Self-carnate. So how can he be going to himself? He ascended back into himself, but he didn't go to himself. That was a parable to let them know that there were the very same souls there as they are today. He was also speaking to the souls of Yehuda. Yehuda back then, that he was speaking to. And that was over 2,030 years ago. BC. Oh, not before Christ. This BC is before the crucifixion. Before crucifixion. And they are the very same souls of Judah here back here today, 2,030 years later, after the crucifixion. But that, you got to give time, the years before the crucifixion, they were speaking to them. You know, like in 1985, 1989. In their own different bodies back then. They do not believe in my testimonies today. Mine. But they believe in his. And that's the same as saying that they most certainly do not believe in Mem Yod, my testimonies, right? But they believe in his, Yehoshaphat's testimonies. Not only that, but see, that will also explain one of several mysteries and reasons why mine are Yehoshaphat set in prophecy that he will come back in the last days to the city that is empowered by mine and me. That's hidden in Micah chapter 5, verse 2. With the I in the midst of you. That's word renowned today as, I quote, my and me of Florida. M-I, my, A in the middle, Adam, and M-I at the end, me. I in the midst of you, Adam. As in Adam all died, so in the Christ shall all be made alive. But many fail to accept that truth. So read verse 10. Read on verse 10 so you can see what else they are failing to grab hold to in their thick skulls where their small brain is. Read the rest of that and see what.
And ye see me no more.
Good gracious. See, that's why I couldn't read that. That was my Ab speaking. Got that?
Okay.
And since they cannot accept that, they keep mine Ab alive in the same body that he used while he was here. But in their minds, in photos, they keep them as photos that they place all over their hearts and bodies and Facebook profile pictures. As if they use his profile, they use his photo, his picture, as if it is their picture.
Mm-hmm.
They do, as if it's their picture, confusing people and confusing one another. Especially those who don't know, other nations who don't know, even our own people.
Okay.
Those who don't know Yahweh or Yahweh or Yudawave. They say, well, I see this. I see this picture. Man, I thought I saw it in the newspaper he was gone, but I guess it's him. Some even using his name. And some are even saying they call themselves Beth Nusuf Yudawave with their first name. I didn't do that. I don't do that. Read verse 11, please.
Of judgment because the prince of this world is judged.
But who is that? The prince of this world is judged. Who is that? Who is the prince of this world? Who? See, the prince of this world would be the son of a king that's got to be judged. And a prince of a king is also known in English as junior. Junior, right?
Dang.
The prince of this world, the son of a king, who is senior. And he is now being judged today. Who? Junior. Just as promised in Genesis chapter 15, verse 14. But none of your minds could have comprehended what my art was telling your Hebrew souls back then, who were listening, who were watching. And see, and because of that, that is why he said, what he said in verse 12, read that please.
Quote, I have yet many things to say unto you, but ye cannot bear them now.
See, that's why. Why? Well, could you? Could you? Y-O-U? No. Ye can, but you cannot. None of Y-O-U could. So read and see who will help you, Y-O-U, in the last days in verse 13. Read and see who will help you.
Howbeit, when he, the Spirit of truth, is come,
Goodness gracious.
he will guide you into all truth.
How much of it?
All truth.
And teach you things that you have not known or can never know on your own. And will also guide you into all truth. That what?
For he shall not speak of himself, but whatsoever he shall hear, that shall he speak. And he will show you things to come.
I will show you things to come. I will speak all truth. Even from 2005, when I was still in the Bahamas, I will show you things to come. Why? Because my art will show me. Even as I sat on that island in 2005, he commanded me mental telepathy from Miami. I'm in the Bahamas, he's in Miami. And told me to go to New Orleans, where he was taken into custody, and judge that city, put judgment on that city that was promised that the prince of this world would be judged. And I flew from Nassau International Airport to MIA, Miami International Airport, and then to a connecting flight from Miami to Louis Armstrong International Airport in New Orleans. The first couple of days of August 2005. And he told me, before I left, I sat in that office in Nassau and wrote up a whole bunch of flyers, printed them up on my copy machine. I mean, hundreds of them. And cut them up and put them in my bag overnight. I wasn't going to go stay long. And pass them out. And as I pass them out, tell my people that I saw in New Orleans, repent now, Yahweh is here. A terrible storm is coming this way. As he told me to tell them. Verse 13. Now when I speak of myself, whatever I shall hear, me could go. That shall I speak. A hurricane, terrible storm coming this way. All up and down Canal Street, all around. I walked Walgreens, I was all over Canal Street, passing out. Some grabbed it, looked at it, man, get that shit out of my face. Threw it down. Some got it, here, brother, okay, I'll read it, brother. I turn around, look at him, throw it on the ground. Some put it in their pocket. Some stood there reading it. I told one soul that was there, nicknamed Blood. Terrible storm coming, Blood. You and your wife got to get out of here when it comes. When you get a warning, leave. I said, no, I know. Storm coming this way. I said, you got to hear it. You don't know me. I'm incognito. You don't know me. You think you call me Slammer. You don't know me. I'm incognito. You see, I wear white. Every time you saw me since you met me earlier that year, 2005, in February, every time you saw me since then, I have on white. Do what I say do. Leave. And he said, no, I'm not going to leave. I said, okay, I'm gone. I'm going hard-headed. I flew back from Louis Armstrong Airport in New Orleans, Louisiana, the next day. That was somewhere around April or August 5th. August 5th. Went back to Miami, shopped in Miami for a day for my business in the Bahamas. Flew back the next day back to Nassau, Bahamas. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Every day I leave my office or my business, security. I watch Channel 7 News, waiting for this so-called tropical depression to form from Africa. And I knew it was coming. So I went. He said it, told me to go do it. He said it, that settles it. It's coming. But what I did not know, as I kept watching for weeks for a tropical depression or waves to come from Africa, my Yodivahe formed the depression off the coast of where I was sitting in the Bahamas, off Nassau, in the Bahama waters. A couple 100 miles where I was sitting in that office, he formed the wave off of Nassau. A week before August 29th, 2005. I'm watching Channel 7 News, WSVN. What I should have been watching was ZNS News that was right there on the island, that's but the Bahamas. So I watched their news, and then I saw, for the first time in history, the meteorologists of the Bahamas of ZNS said, we have a tropical wave formed off of the coast of Nassau. What? And then the United States meteorologists saw the same thing and said, what? Where'd that come from? And it became known then as a tropical storm that went up, came back down, went across South Florida, went in the Gulf, developed into a Category 5 they named Katrina, and went right into New Orleans, 45 miles, the eye from New Orleans. 45, 4 and 5, 9. And wouldn't you know that I told one person to leave, and at the last minute he told me after I saw him he left. Had he not left, see, his house was underwater. They had no levees back then. The levees broke, and the whole town, every day I watched after that Channel 7 News, and I saw bodies floating in waters. I seen people hold up signs on the roof, help. They even spray painted on the roofs, help us, help me, help us. And I saw bodies floating, and I was wondering, would that be the one I told to leave? And he was saying, I'm not leaving. So that was 16 years ago. We know what happened. History. 16 years later, this year, 2021, my Ab told me again, go. This time, curse it again. Put judgment on it. So a group of us went to New Orleans on May 27th, 2021. And while we were there, on May 29th, we went downtown New Orleans and went to the hotel where my aunt was staying at on November 7th, 1990, where he was taken into custody by a cousin and a distant cousin. They call FBI agents. They handcuffed him inside that hotel and brought him out handcuffed and took him into custody. I went back to that hotel as he told me to this year. And I did. I visited to leave a curse in it. We walked downtown New Orleans, down Canal Street, and we looked around. And in my mind, I'm saying, I'm cussing this place again. They don't, some don't know, but I told those who were with me, I'm cussing it. I'm putting a curse on it. Went back to the hotel we were, went in the bathroom and saw a white boy, a European, in the bathroom, washing his hands, and I stood next to him, to the sink, next to his sink, and said, a terrible storm is coming, get ready. He looked at me like, what, it is? I said, yes, it's coming, you better get ready. He said, it's not. He thought it was now, he thought it was then. I guess he went to the front desk to check and see if you missed any news. The very same one who I told in 2005 to leave, I saw again. We called him Blood. I called him again last week, just as that store was approaching, say, Blood, here we go again, leave. Here it come again. But this time it's going to be worse. I even told those before it come, I said, I'm sending another storm to New Orleans that's going to be worse than Katrina. I would say that for years. It's going to be worse than Katrina. And wouldn't you know, 16 years later, on the exact date, that's 8 and 8, 16 years later, on the exact date, another storm. See, Ida knew it was coming. Oh, Ida knew it was coming. That's what I told him. See, Ida knew. And if I'd have known you was coming, I'd have baked the cake. But Ida knew Ida knew it was coming. This time, 65 miles the hour from New Orleans. And we know the history. Show them that. Show them the pattern. Go to the screen. Show them what they think is a coincidence. Go to and see if you step over. Go to YouTube. It should still be there. And click on. Let that click on. Let them see the pattern that this storm that Katrina took. Go to history. And there it is right there. Click on that. We probably got to watch a commercial first. That's what I thought.
For NCLEX, for real life working, for
everything that's going on this planet, they want to show advertisement. Look at the track of Katrina. Just pause it for a moment. Okay? Scroll it up so you can get that off. Scroll the button. This is the path of Katrina. Nassau is here. You can't see it because of the pink. Nassau is right here. Here's where it formed. Right here. It came as a depression around Nassau. Hardly any breeze. I guess it passed by to say shalom, Mika. Yeah, they were calling it Miss Israel back then. Shalom, Miss Israel. That became, while I was in the Bahamas, the official name, Mika Israel, legally changed by the U.S. government and the Bahamas approval. They called it a deed poll. Came around Nassau, through, around Andros Island and Long Key, Eleuthera, came around and came south and said Shalom Na'ab on the other side of Miami, south of Miami. I was in the north part of Miami. I said, Shalom, Your Highness, I'm doing as you say do. Nahum chapter 1 and verse 3. Verses 2 and 3. Shalom, I'm doing just as you said. And as your son obeyed. Came around here, a category 1 as it passed Fort Myers on the west coast of Florida. A category 2 warming up. And here is, see, Ida knew it was coming. Ida. In 2021, Ida knew it was coming. Right? Ida became a 1 right next to 2. That's the 12 steps I'm taking. The 12 tribes of Israel. So that's a sign. That's 12. 1 and 2. 12 chapters of this book I wrote. Posted online. It's not a coincidence. See it right here. 1, 2. You got it? Okay. And you also have, and I don't know if you realize it, but you also have 2021. All right. So, here we go. Katrina, 3. See the pink? 4. 5. I don't know who was coming. 2. those who were here with me in this house, as Ida was being formed here, and then the meteorologist forecast that by the time we get here, it's going to turn and come straight up. It'll be just a category 1. You don't have to worry about it, New Orleans or Texas or Louisiana, Alabama, Florida. It's just going to be a category 1. I said, hell no. I have witnesses. I said, I'm going to turn it into a 4 and even a 5 with the gust winds. I'm going to turn it to a 5. It's going to be worse than Katrina.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. And wouldn't you know, Katrina, right? Ida, a 2. I said no. I said a 4 to a 5 with gust winds, because no storm ever hit land at 5, category 5. Katrina weakened. This is Katrina that weakened here. But Ida kept moving strong as a category 5. Just as I said it would. And just as I told that white boy in the bathroom, get ready. And just as I told Blood, leave. I also called someone else and told him to leave, and he left. Thanked me for telling him. But as you can see, they came, see the path? See how they crossed path? Katrina, Ida. See here?
Wow.
And if you look real close, you'll see a Y. Right here, Y, Yahweh. Here it is. Ida 60 miles south. Katrina 45 miles southeast, New Orleans. Category 3. Ida category 4. Winds 150 miles an hour max. Katrina 126 miles an hour wind. Dates August 29, 2021. Date August 29, 2005. Exactly 16 years to the date. 8 and 8 is 16. Any questions? Right? Okay. So with that said, let's go back now and read verse 14. Because see, read verse 14 of John. We're almost done with that. John chapter 16, verse 14, please.
Quote, he shall glorify me.
Period. Stop. Hold it. That couldn't be Ab glorifying himself. He shall glorify me. That means he shall glorify me. Just as on that side and on this side, I'm still glorifying him. He glorified me, I glorify him. That's John chapter 1 John chapter 5 verse 9. That's why he put in the books, in his pen signature, that's why he put Yod Hid Wafe, Beth Nusuf Yod Wafe, right? Yod Wafe, glorifying the Father and the Son. Why? Because what?
For he shall receive of mine.
See, not shall receive of me, of mine. He gave me mine. He gave me his, and his became mine.
Okay.
And not only that, but I shall show it unto you.
Okay.
And that's what I'm doing right now. To you. Now let's go back and see where it is originated from. This was originated from. Up in the previous paragraph that we started reading in part 1. This part 1, this testimony, this gospel. That sealed this truth that's promised. The truth that my special soul read earlier, with according to Yaakov. But we're going to go down to the book called Micah in chapter 3. I'm going to read that. Micah chapter 3 and verse 8. Micah chapter 3 verse 8. You got it? Okay. Micah chapter 3 verse 8. I'm going to read, quote, Verse 8. But truly I am full of power by the Spirit of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, the Lord Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, even Beth Nusafeh Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, and of judgment and of might, to declare unto Jacob his transgression and to Israel his sin. End quote. What does that mean? I asked a question. I posed a question last night. I gave you something to think about overnight. To think of. How am I to declare unto Jacob, right? How am I to declare unto Jacob his transgression? And unto Israel his sin. How am I to do that? Who knows? Mm-hmm. How am I to do that? No one knows? I thought the theologians of the world. I repeat the question. How am I to declare unto Jacob his transgression and to Israel his sin? Keep in mind that this is referring to the same soul, Jacob, who is also Israel today, who's here now. The same one who wrestled with me. Well, the mystery was already read. You missed it. In part, go back to Genesis chapter 32 and begin at verse 24. I'm going to begin at verse 24. Maybe you hear me read it. I didn't read it before, did I? Let me read it. Verse 24. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. The breaking of the day is now the third day. And when the man saw that he, Jacob, prevailed not against him, he, which is the man, touched the hollow of his mind, his thigh, Jacob's thigh, his mind. And the hollow of Jacob's mind was out of joint, so he made him join his father and him. Right? And said in verse 28, he asked him first in verse 27, and he said to him, what is thy name? And he said, Jacob. Not so. That's what you want to stay by. You want to stay Jacob. No. You're going to come with us. And you're going to join us. So in verse 28, he, the man, said, thy name shall not be called, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Yishra Yahweh. Yishra Yahweh, you shall rush out of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, shall be thy name, for a prince is thou powered with Kima. With Kima. Mika. And with men. And has prevailed. Now, can you not see that now? Can you see it now? As I mentioned before, there's a capital G, but a capital G, but lowercase od. You have to know that the English translation from the original Hebrew scrolls, you have to know that this was the son of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, and not Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh. And that's what the Hebrew elders knew this. They knew it. Okay? Because they knew the ineffable name of the God of the Hebrews. Now we just went back to Micah chapter 3 verse 8. And we know that sin is now, as I mentioned, that sin is a character, a Hebrew character. Right? A Hebrew character. From Shin. So, I am going to declare unto Jacob the transgression. But you don't know what that is. So, the transgression came about with the other part of a name that I bared at one time during history, which is Yahshua, the son of Nun. So I turned to the book called Yahshua, and chapter 22. And I believe I'm just going to read very fast. I will try hard not to interrupt. Start at verse 1.
Joshua chapter 22, verse 1. Quote, Then Joshua called the Reubenites.
Now, Reubenites are a son, come from a son of Jacob, one of the 12, who's being used in his testimony. Reuben, the firstborn. Right? He's being used indirectly, which is a son is given. That's what name a son is given. And also his brother's tribe, the Gadites, and the half tribe of Manasseh. You got it? Read on.
Verse 2, And said unto them, Ye have kept all that Moshe the servant of Yod-Heh-Waveh commanded you, and have obeyed my voice in all that I commanded you.
That sounds like a blessing, doesn't it? Okay, read on.
Verse 3, Ye have not left your brethren these many days unto this day, but have kept the charge of the commandment of Yod-Heh-Waveh your Elohim.
Doesn't that sound like they're doing something right? It's a blessing, doesn't it? Well, I wonder what's going on. Read on.
And now Yod-Heh-Waveh your Elohim have given rest unto your brethren, as he promised them. Therefore now return ye, and get you unto your tents, and unto the land of your possession, which Moshe the servant of Yod gave you on the other side Jordan.
Wow. Read on.
But take diligent heed to do the commandment and the law which Moshe the servant of Yod-Heh-Waveh charged you, to love Yod-Heh-Waveh your Elohim, and to walk in all his ways, and to keep his commandments, and to cleave unto him, and to serve him with all your heart, and with all your soul.
So what did Joshua do in verse 6? Or Yahshua?
So Yahshua blessed them,
That sounds like more blessing. Goodness gracious. And what else?
and sent them away, and they went unto their tents.
Read on, verse 7.
Now to the one half of the tribe of Manasseh Moshe had given possession in Bashan, but unto the other half thereof gave Yahshua among their brethren on this side of Jordan westward. And when Yahshua sent them away also unto their tents, then he blessed them.
I mean, it's like blessings all over the place by Yahshua, right? Read on.
And he spake unto them, saying,
What?
Return with much riches unto your tents,
Wow, you talk about blessing, riches. Go ahead, what else?
and with very much cattle, with silver, and with gold, and with brass, and with iron, and with very much raiment. Divide the spoil of your enemies with your brethren.
That means share it. Go ahead, and what?
And the children of Reuben,
There it is, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn.
and the children of Gad,
Another son.
and the half tribe of
Now
Manasseh.
don't forget, this is that which was that father that told them that's going to befall them in the last days. That means something with this has got to happen in the last days, and I'm going to do right now. That's going to be part of the transgression to Jacob. To Jacob, his transgression. And to Israel, his sin. Read, let's see.
Of Manasseh returned, and departed from the children of Israel out of Shiloh,
See, Shiloh got to come. And then what happens?
which is in the land of Canaan, to go unto the country of Gilead, to the land of their possession, whereof they were possessed, according to the word of Yod-Heh-Waveh by the hand of Moshe.
Wow, okay, now, let's do this from verse 10, hold on. Because it's going to say in verse 10 how they continue to do something to the borders of Jordan and Gad and Reuben, the Reubenites and the Gadites and Manasseh. All right?
Okay.
But something happened in verse 12. Read what happened in verse 12.
And when the children of Israel heard of it, the whole congregation of the children of Israel gathered themselves together at Shiloh to go up to war against them.
Against Reuben and Gad. Because they accused them of doing an altar that they didn't know anything of. Followed like as if they followed another God.
Wow.
So now they want to go at war against Reuben and Gad. See, this is it that shall befall them in the last days. But that wasn't the last days then. These are the last days. So now Shiloh got to come and set the record straight. Because something happened with the transgression against Yaakov. Actually against, Yaakov. Not Israel. Yaakov. Read and see verse 13.
And the children of Israel sent unto the children of Reuben, and to the children of Gad, and to the half tribe of Manasseh,
What?
and to the land of Gilead, Phinehas the son of Eleazar, the priest,
And what happened in 14?
and with him 10 princes of each chief house, a prince throughout all the tribes of Israel, and each one was a head of the house of their fathers, among the thousands of Israel.
See, they thought that they were going to get them because they're doing something they're not supposed to be doing. You got it?
Dang.
So, because of that, verse 16, read that.
Thus said the whole congregation of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh.
What?
What trespass
They
is
go a
this
trespass. That what?
that ye have committed against the Elohim of Israel,
What? After being blessed, read on.
to turn away this day from following Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh,
What? Did they? Read on.
and that ye have builded you an altar, that ye might rebel this day against the Lord Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh.
See how they thought that? And they're doing the same thing again today. They're thinking Shiloh is rebelling against Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh.
What?
Yes. Read on. 18.
But that ye must turn away this day from following Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh,
That you must turn away? Why are you doing this? What else?
and it will be, seeing ye rebel today against the Lord Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh,
What? To what?
that tomorrow he will be wroth with the whole congregation of Israel.
See, what you're doing, you're going to cause all of us to get in trouble. You got to stop that. If you don't play that, you're going to get us in trouble for something you're doing, stupid. Read.
19.
Yeah.
Notwithstanding, if the land of your possession be unclean, then pass ye over unto the land of the possession of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, wherein the Lord Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh's tabernacle dwelleth.
See, a tabernacle is dwelling in that land. That tabernacle is not a structure. It's a man. It's a man. And what?
And take possession among us.
Uh-huh.
But rebel not against the Lord Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, nor rebel against us, in building you an altar, beside the altar of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, our Elohim.
See, they did something they were instructed to do by Shiloh, but others didn't know. So they thought they were being wicked and rebelling. What are y'all doing? Why y'all over to the house with Micah? With Shiloh. Read on.
Did not Achan the son of Zerah commit a trespass in the accursed thing? And wrath fell on all the congregation of Israel.
Goodness.
And that man perished, not alone in his iniquity.
Took all of them out. They try to compare that with what they're doing. Verse 21.
Then the children of
Reuben,
and
this is it that your father shall tell you that shall befall you last days. And who else?
and the children of Gad,
What?
and the half tribe of Manasseh
What?
answered,
What?
and said unto the heads of the thousands of Israel,
What?
the Lord Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, God of gods, the Lord Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, Elohim of Elohims,
Yeah.
he knoweth, and Israel he shall know.
Right.
If it be in rebellion, or if in transgression against Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, save us not this day.
See, my op knew what they were doing, and I knew what they were doing, but them fools didn't know what they were doing. Why you accuse them of that? They think it's a transgression.
Right.
This transgression is one of what, 51 times? In 50 verses that you'll find this word in the Bible. Transgression. But the transgression that refers to Micah begins with Mem.
Okay.
And that word is called Ma'al. Ma'al. And you'll find it in Strong's H4604. Begins with Mem. Micah. You got it?
Okay.
Ma'al. That's transgression. But this transgression means, did you get it? You find it? Click on it. Is that in the way? If it's in the way. Okay, you got it? Go up. Oh, you got it? Yeah, that's Strong's H4604. Now go down to the meaning. They have one meaning. That's that one meaning, in italicized. They got unfaithful or treacherous act, a trespass, right?
Okay.
That's all they knew. But you have to go to the meaning of A and B. That meaning A means against man. The man that he wrestled with when he was alone. Not realizing that the man was also B, against God, in lowercase od. So what Jacob did was he wrestled against man and against God, and I will come back today and tell him that was your transgression. I'm declaring. That's what you wrestled against. That is your transgression. You wrestled against man and God. So I'm going to declare that unto you today, Jacob. Right there. And it was not a transgression as you thought. But even the Greeks knew. Or they didn't know. But they would even tell you, when you go to that transgression, in the New Testament, right?
Okay.
When you go to the New Testament transgression, that is an act found in the first book in the act. In the first book, on the chapter 1 and verse 25 of Acts chapter 1, that transgression in Greek will give you a Greek's name, but you're not going to find it like that. You have to go to Romans. Go to Romans chapter 4 verse 15 and you'll find it in your concordance on the G3847. Because you're going to find on the G3845, right? Well, it's 3845 you could too, and go back to Acts chapter 1 verse 25 and go to 38, G3845. And that transgression means, let me know when you get there. You there? See, this transgression is not a bad transgression. They thought it was bad. This transgression under the Greeks, G3845, get the meaning, was to go past or pass over without touching a thing. And I told Jacob not to do. You got it? You can go up a little. They can look in the concordance. They can go, it means to also to go past as to turn aside. And to depart, to leave, to be turned from. So I told Jacob to turn from what he was thinking or what he was doing and go back to where you come from. And he did. One who abandons his trust. He abandoned his trust in me. That's his transgression. So I declare that to him today. During the last days, to befall him in the last days. That's why you have in verse 1 of Genesis chapter 49, you have Jacob, and why you have verse 2, Jacob and Israel. That is a part of Micah chapter 3 verse 8, Jacob and Israel. So now when you go back, as I declare unto Israel his sin, I have already. This is his sin. I declare unto Israel his sin. That's one sin. It's not, see, a sin. One. This one I'm declaring that they took your sin away from you. They took your shin away from you and gave you sin. Well, I'm declaring today that it's not sin, it's shin. I declare that today to you, Yisrael. That's your judgment. It's not sin, it's shin. I declare it and I reprove it today as I reprove the word of sin. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
No one could do that except the one who it pertains to, who wrote it, and who was promised to come and do it, which is Shalom. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
With that said, I mean, some cannot see it, but others can. I'm looking for ye. See, my soul promised to return the last days to do it, and I had promised to declare to Yeshua Yahweh, you should wrestle Yahweh, the bogus and erroneous name changed to the devil's committed in order to create their own false nation that is in our land today, known as Israel.
Okay.
You got it? I kept that promise. And this is the promise that I told Yeshua Yahweh, Yoshi Wrestle Yahweh, to tell his fourth son. And this is in verse 8 and 9 of Genesis. Go to that. Genesis chapter 49, verse 8 and 9. This is what I told him to tell Yaakov. Read that, please, verse 8 and 9.
Okay. Quote. Yehuda, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Verse 9.
Mm-hmm.
Yehuda is a lion's whelp from the prey. My son, thou art gone up. He stooped down. He crouched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up?
End quote. Praise the Lord. That's couched. That would be couched. And in verse 8 it says, thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. And you have no idea what that means. Only the one who told Yaakov to tell his son, Yaakov, Yehuda, only the one who told him to say that would know what that means.
Okay.
Especially in the last days. And here ye are today, Yehuda. Here ye are today in that very land of your enemies, and those whose neck your hand is still in to this very day. known as August 31st, 2021. And you have no idea what that means still. Why? Why you do not know? Because you would rather put that same hand on a level that is attached to a voting polls machine in a booth and vote for a taskmaster to be appointed over your soul for the maximum of 8 years.
Wow.
And that's from 245 years from 1776. They had the first president that washed your minds clean like a ton. Or Washington. That means your very same celestial and terrestrial souls that is now dwelling in another human body that has a hand that is attached to your body, that you would give your hand to the neck of your enemy. Why? So that your enemies can inject his COVID-19 cipher Pfizer vaccine shots into your body. Wow. Why would you do that? Because you have been destroyed for the lack of knowledge. And because of that destruction of knowledge, history is now repeating itself in these last days. What does that mean? This means that every single thing that is happening to Judah today also happened to Yehuda, Yud Hey Wav Dalet Yud Wav Hey Yehuda, before the fourth tribe of Israel. It happened back then. The same thing. I repeat. Every single blessing, curse, punishment, separation, devilment, suffering, imprisonment, dearth, servitude, homelessness, and terrible thing that has happened to Judah today also happened to Yehuda, Yud Hey Wav Dalet Hey, before the fourth tribe of Israel that happened over 3,500 years ago BC, before the coming. And now it's happening again today. And that includes after their God, Yahweh, visited this planet in the flesh and then ascended back up into heaven unto himself before, as he did today. And after that phenomenal and celestial visit had taken place, that is, during the time of Yehuda, Wav Dalet, his captivity, there were 3 presidents that were presiding over the strange land, Babylon, as taskmasters. 3. And with that reminder, we're going to continue tomorrow to verse 10 in the next part 2 of this testimony. Again, it's titled, I quote, by in close parentheses, the second beast of the close parentheses, dead, by dead. And that's the end of part 1. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
With that said, we want to take a moment now and thank those who joined us today, and pray that you can join us again tomorrow as we go with part 2 of this gospel of the kingdom that shall be preached in all the world. All of it. With that said, remember, your Ab, Yahweh, the God of gods, Lord of lords, King of kings, He ahabs you. He loves you, Yehuda. And Lavi, Israel, all Israel, He loves you. Anuki ahab, so do I. Anuki ahab. I love you. I love you, even if you only know me as Mika. You only know me as Mika, I love you. Anuki ahab.
Kia.
Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom.